Finally, fellas, we got us a dry day here in eastern North Carolina. As you can see, we've kind of had a rough go of things here lately at the shop. When it comes to pulling vehicles in and out of the shop, and when the guy came to pick up that 6.7, he brought a 40-foot gooseneck behind a 450 on highway tires, and he got stuck. And then pulling all these broke down vehicles around the yard is kind of a wreck. We got a fix for that though. Here in the next couple weeks, we'll be getting some rock put out here, and that should really help alleviate some of that issue with the mud everywhere and a terrible looking parking area, I guess you would say. But on to more exciting things. We're back onto the crew cab project. As you saw earlier, we had worked a little bit last night, and here's kind of what we got done. All right, so as you can see, the bed is off. We just used some straps using the engine hoist here to get it picked up, and got a little bit of weight pulled out of this thing last night. So just a little backstory or heads up or whatever you want to say on what we're doing. As you know, if you've got a 3rd gen, you've got another brace very similar to this, the one that was laid on the floor over there, that comes across here, mounts to here, and then your spare tire assembly goes across in the center. Your spare tire hangs just below here. None of that's needed anymore, so we cut all that stuff out of the way. Really, the only reason that we're keeping this bar is just because that's where the shock mount is. It goes in here. And we wanted to go rear mount shocks, but this truck has dual exhaust, and really there's no good way to do the rear mount shocks without redoing this exhaust system. And honestly, for what this truck's going to be doing, I don't think right now he necessarily needs it. So simplest thing to do for now, we're just going to leave this bar in, and we shed, you know, 15, 20 pounds, whatever it was for this stuff back here. And we're going to clean these shocks up. They're actually Rancho 9000s, which I'm not a Rancho fan, but the 9000s aren't a terrible shock for the price. So we're going to try to leave these in for a little bit, see what we can do. And if the truck won't hook, then we'll switch to something like the Vikings that we've got in the dad bod over there. So anyways, last night, Nathan worked on cutting this stuff out. We also pulled the fuel tank out. As you can see, it's sitting over here. We have to put a sump in it for the new fuel system. And then the exhaust, as you can see, it's got this collector here where it was 4-inch going back into this dual exhaust. What we're gonna do is run 5-inch from turbo back, so we'll have a 5-inch downpipe, and we're gonna have it, you know, go into this collector here. So we'll just have to have a straight run of 5-inch from the downpipe back. So we went ahead and cut that off. A couple more things that we did notice. One, this brake fitting here is in a pretty rough shape. There's a hole in the exhaust right there, and then the wiring harness going into the fuel pump was broken, and somebody had siliconed it in place. So we will be fixing those things while we're at it. So along with all of that, we are also going to be cleaning up the frame, putting a fresh coat of paint on everything. We are going to pull the leaf springs out, clean those up and paint them. Cow tracks are going on here, and we're going to go down to no overload, no shims under the leaf pack, and that'll shed a little bit of weight, maybe help for weight transfer a little bit. I'd really like to go down to 3 leaves, but the owner kind of wanted to stick with the full leaf pack, so that's what we're going to do for now, and we'll just see how it performs. But that pretty much wraps up under the back end of the truck for last night. To get into the engine bay, as you can see, we did a little more pulling stuff. Went ahead and pulled the fenders off. If any of you know the antenna, let's see. So like the antenna, like on this truck, they've got this little nut on top. They end up a lot of times seized up, they'll break, get messed up, and it's a pain. But you've got to get this piece off to be able to pull the fender. So what I ended up doing with this truck, pretty simple, but if you pop this trim piece off that runs along the floorboard and up here, you can get to the wire for the antenna. And then as you see, this little hole right here for this grommet, that's where the antenna wire comes through. You can pop that grommet out, and then it's just like 6 or 8 bolts. You can pull the whole fender off. and that just makes it easier when you're cleaning stuff up. Also, we're gonna put a coat of paint on the engine bay. So instead of risking getting some overspray on the fenders, we went ahead and pulled that off. Pulled the driver's side fender off too while we were at it, just because, like I said, for painting things or whatever. I think I'm gonna try to leave the battery box and all in here when I paint it, because really, I mean, all it's really got to be painted is these rails here and then the firewall, and the biggest fight on the firewall is going to be around this stuff over here. We'll just take our time, put a light coat of paint, and should be all right. But anyways, last night got the holes drilled, one up here. As you know, your wiper motor and assembly sits up here. Pulled that out, and then you can cut some clearance here. Shout out to Brian Durf. And we can get in and drill this hole here. There's a hole here, and what I'm going to do is route this harness up into the wiper cowl, come across, and then your main harness can go through and plug up in here. We'll get some grommet material, make a grommet to go in there, and yeah. One thing a little different with this truck I hadn't seen before, or not that I hadn't seen before, sorry, I hadn't tried to hide before. It's got the vacuum line stuff, so I'm going to try to see if we've got enough room to run it up through that hole into the wiper cowl as well. But anyways, that pretty much sums up what we got done last night. I got a couple hours today out here that I'm going to try to piddle and get some stuff in the engine bay wrapped up and get it ready for paint. So anyways, we'll piddle on with that and see how far we get. All right, guys, so just to check in real quick and show you a little update on what I've done so far. So as you can see, I've got that harness ran through up here in the wiper cowl right now. It comes through this hole right here. As you can see, coming up, comes through up here, and I'm about to feed it through behind this vacuum box here. I had to clean all of that sticky mess and heat shielding and whatever that's blocking that off. A little bit aggravating to get all that sticky shit cleaned off of it, but anyways, gonna feed that harness through here. As you can kind of see, there's already a hole down in there, and that's what I'm gonna feed this harness through. But anyways, I'm gonna do that. I've also got to get, there's a little vacuum pump that goes on the back side of your battery tray over here. So I'm gonna find a way to mount that up here somewhere out of the way, and that's what will go to this other line here. So I'm gonna try to tuck all that back behind the wiper motor so it's not in the way of anything, doesn't get hung up. But anyways, gonna keep chugging along, get this stuff ran through, and see how far we can get. All right, so getting pretty close on getting this harness run across and working on this vacuum pump. So as you can see, this here is the vacuum pump. As I said, it normally goes back in this area here behind the battery box. It mounts on the back side of it. Got it mounted up here, was able to drill holes. Probably can't see them, but the little rubber insulators just pop right into the wiper cowl there. I did test fit, and I'll show you in just a second. So here goes with the wiper cowl on. Probably can't see down in there to see it. Let's see. Here you can kind of see down in there. That's where the vacuum pump is though, back in here, and there's clearance up top. So it fits pretty good. It's snug. It's a really close fit. One of them measure 3 times before you drill. But anyways, it fits pretty good. All the hoses are ran nice and neat, so shouldn't have any issues with them getting hung up in the wiper. And as far as the vacuum hoses, that part is taken care of. So up next, the plug for it is right here. And the way that it falls, it's actually that connector right there that has orange on it. And there is a little bit of excess. I can pull it out here. This is your plug that goes up to the under hood light. But anyways, I'm gonna extend this wire, get it to where it'll plug into here, and then we'll move on to the next project. And now the vacuum pump is all wired up and redone. The hoses, as you see, come through here, all out of the way. That's the wire there that'll be going to the wiper motor. And then, as you see, I took this little rubber boot here that was, I'm trying to remember, that was originally for where this wire would come through the firewall, or sorry, wiper cowl right there. I cut it, and I don't have it pushed all the way in right now, but I'm using that to feed the wire through for your brake fluid reservoir. So anyway, sorry it's kind of dark in here, but that's how I'm going about doing that. When this is all buttoned up, I'll have this kind of secured over here where it looks nice and clean, and I'll have that boot pushed back in, but all that's gonna have to come back out because we've got to paint the engine bay. So I'm gonna pull that back out of the way. But anyways, a few more things out of the way for this. Getting pretty close to cleaning everything and getting ready for paint. I'm not gonna pull everything out of this truck. It's pretty close right now to what we're gonna do. I gotta pull that little bracket right here out. But yeah, anyways, getting pretty close. Gonna clean all this stuff up and get it ready for a coat of paint. So anyways, like I said, nothing spectacular. It's not gonna be like a show quality deal, but it's gonna look a whole lot better than it did. And already does look better than it did just having a lot of this stuff out of the way. So once we get it cleaned up, it'll be looking pretty good.